Today we present a really fun episode, chock full of history and trivia. Many episodes we have a main topic or player profile, but then often a fun short segment beforehand, a first pitch, so to speak. And as much as I love our main topics, I really enjoy our first pitches. They're interesting, informative, sometimes wacky. But with our guest interviews lately, they've been a little longer, great, but all those great first pitches have not fit in, and we've not been able to cover them until today. Today, to quote Michael Corleone from The Godfather, we settle all family business. And we catch up on a whole episode of first pitches. And who benefits from this? Why, you, the listener. As we bring you 4 great baseball segments and topics, a potpourri, nay, a veritable smorgasbord of baseball delights.
I'm very excited to cut the list down by 4, but even cutting 4 off, that list is really still pretty long.
Every time I get one, I jot it down, and what can I say? I love baseball.
I know.
Well, we're going to start the episode by going to the old baseball lexicon, as we sometimes do, the Dixon Baseball Dictionary, with the term loogie. Then we're going to tell you about the Kissing Bandit. Then Brooke and I review a great baseball movie, Eephus. And then finally, we cover a game that you may not have heard about, but really should. The 1970 East-West Major League Baseball Classic. And if all that isn't enough, we're going to start today's episode with a trivia question. The Baseball Hall of Fame requires a 5-year waiting period following a player's retirement before potential induction into the Hall. Now, who was the only player in the Hall of Fame that an exception was made and he was inducted without waiting the 5 years? Before we throw out our first pitch, our good friend and baseball maven, Edwin Nolan, joins me once again to update what's currently going on in the league. Edwin, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Well, before we begin, we're recording this on May 18th, and in the 2 weeks since we chatted, 2 big losses in the baseball world over that time frame. First, Yankees broadcaster John Sterling, who between 1989 and last year called 5,060 consecutive games for the Yankees. And we're far removed from the classic radio days of Red Barber, Vin Scully, and Harry Carey. But that being said, local radio broadcasters still very much a part of this game, and especially given the quality of many of these streaming commentators, and you know who you are, many still actually watch the game with the local radio broadcast playing in the background to hear familiar voices like those of Sterling. Secondly, Bobby Cox, the great Hall of Fame manager, he is currently number 4 on all-time wins list for a manager with 2404 wins, 4-time manager of the year, who managed those tremendous Atlanta Braves teams in the second stint with the team from 1990 to 2010. So sad about those 2 passing. But we're here now with Edwin, and let's go around the horn to talk about the league. And Brooks got her bell to make sure we stay honest and stay on time. All right, first with the AL East. The 2 best teams in the American League continue to be in this division, but though early, they seem on different trajectories. The Rays are 12-3 in May. Their run differential just okay, but they just keep winning. Pitcher Shane McClanahan hasn't given a run in 4 starts. Drew Rasmussen has been solid. Aside from the nice surprises on the Yankees of Ben Wright's bat and Cam Schlittler's pitching, man, the Yanks bullpen is a problem, and 5 of their non-batters are pathetic. Could the Blue Jays get their groove back and catch up? 4 games this week against the Yankees will help answer that query. I don't think the Sox and Orioles will. Edwin.
Yeah, on to the AL Central, where everybody except for Cleveland below 500. It's, a slog out there. Everybody's kind of battling for the median. Detroit had their manager get tossed. A.J. Hinch went wild on the umpire after getting jobbed on this review where his base runner was clearly safe. They saw it on the big board, appealed it, didn't win the appeal. So that was interesting. White Sox surprisingly in the mix, and KC in the back, but still at striking distance. So we'll see how that division shakes out. Onto the AL West, where did you see that the A's, that's right, your lovely Athletics, are in first place? Yeah, so A's are in first. Seattle, Texas, Houston, and Angels round out the AL West, with the A's being at first. Spencer Arrighetti took a no-hitter into the eighth. Astros still trying to battle in that division. They're slipping a little bit, so we'll see if they can battle back to make a run there late. Jerry, you want to switch to the NL?
Yeah, over to the National League East. Nothing much has changed from 2 weeks ago regarding the Braves being the cream of the crop, including series wins over the Dodgers and the Cubs over the past 9 days. But it's the Phillies who are surging since they fired Rob Thompson at the end of April under interim manager Don Mattingly. The Phils have been 12-4, though still 8 games behind Atlanta. The team has the makings of a wild card team. The rest of the division, not so much. Though, hey, the Nationals are close to 500. And after the dreck their fans have had to endure over the past several seasons, maybe they can give their fans a nice summer. Now going to the National League Central. I think it's an exciting division to watch. 3 teams, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Cardinals, all within 1.5 games of each other. If the season ended now, which of course it is not, those 3 would be playoff bound. The Cubs are in the lead. They put together a 15-game streak and then a 10-game winning streak and then dropped the last 3 series, including one to the White Sox this past weekend. The Brewers, Jason Mizrowski, are you kidding me here? Are you kidding me? His ERA is 2.12, the most Ks in baseball with 80. But here's a stat. Miz has thrown 233 pitches, clocked at over 100 miles per hour or faster. That is more 100-mile-per-hour pitches than the rest of the starters combined in the league. The other starters, and St. Louis actually continues to overperform preseason expectations at 27-19. Hey, whoa, no, not yet. They unloaded Nolan Arenado, Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, but man, right fielder Jordan Walker has rebounded big time. The Cards pitching, sorry, went over.
On to the NL West. We'll finish with the Dodgers and Padres division. I think there's some other teams in it, but they don't really matter at this point. It's the Padres. It's the Dodgers. They're tied right there at the top with 24 wins apiece right now. Everybody's a Padres fan because they're the only ones that can keep pace with the Dodgers right now, it seems. So Merrill Kelly, Arizona Diamondback pitcher, threw a complete game at Coors Field, almost unheard of because pitchers get blown up over there in Colorado with the short field and the light air. And then Blake Snell for the Dodgers got back from the IL. Homer Simpson meme, insert that here. He just went right back to the IL. So anyway, that's the NL West. It's the Dodgers. It's the Padres.
Well, aside from just going slightly over time, I think we did great. Thanks, Edwin, for phoning in. He is on a fishing trip, and yet this is so important to him that he called in. Thanks a lot, Edwin.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Great update, guys. I wish you'd give me some pointers for my fantasy team, but let's start this episode.
Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode.
Well, you gotta love acronyms. Remember way back to episode 5 when we discussed the term Noble Tiger? Remember what that stood for? I'll refresh your memory. No outs, bases loaded, ending with the team incapable of getting an easy run.
I have used that term more frequently than preferred during this season. I think just last night during the Yankee game, I said it twice.
It comes up, unfortunately. Well, we're going to bring you another term today, the term Loogie, Loogy.
Is that when the players are like, they spit like 20 feet when they get up to, they do that thing and it goes flying?
Well, that's a good definition of Loogie, not the term we want to discuss. It reminds me of that great Seinfeld episode with Keith Hernandez. And I love that episode. And this is a good opportunity to show you guys a birthday present if you're on video, or I'll tell you what it is. Our family, Ellie, gave me this, which is an autographed picture of Keith Hernandez with Kramer and Newman. It's glaring a little bit on that famous episode. The magic loogie. Unfortunately, the immutable laws of physics contradicts the whole premise to your argument. I just love that episode.
I love Elaine's line to Keith Hernandez, who she's dating. I'd watch the third base coach if I were you, because he's not waving you in.
Well, I think we're going to break out that picture during our inevitable Keith Hernandez episode.
Yes.
And we are getting a bit off track.
A little bit.
So loogie is a term that really was made out of date by a rule change in the 2020 season. But loogie stands for left-handed one-out guy. Essentially a left-handed pitcher that was brought in to face one batter, often in a high-leverage situation. The term started in the early 2000s when some managers got this strategy or philosophy, often based on analytics. They'd bring in pitchers into multiple appearances, but only to face one guy, maybe two. Tony La Russa was a manager who used this strategy often.
I remember back then when it took forever with the game, and I think that's why one of the reasons they got rid of it to speed up the game is you get one pitcher in who'd take 3 minutes to warm up, get one player out, and then another pitcher would come in. And for our newbies out there, I did learn that pitchers have an advantage when they are throwing to their same sided batter. So a left-handed pitcher throwing to a left-handed batter. So righty to righty, lefty to lefty, except for the switch pitcher and switch hitters. And yes, I did say switch pitcher. There'll be a first pitch on that one time. It's on the list. And batters have the advantage from the opposite side. So a left-handed batter has an advantage on a right-handed pitcher.
You have any idea what you're talking about?
No, I don't. I looked it all up.
Well, a hitter does tend to do better against the opposite hand, especially with breaking balls as they're coming towards you with the opposite hand picture, and that's easy to hit for breaking balls that are away from you. There are also less lefty pitchers in the league. 3/4 of the pitchers since 2010 are righties, so a really good lefty is quite valued.
I'm trying to book a pitcher for us on our podcast. So
that'd be good.
Some of this.
That'd be good
to
discuss the various pitches. We'll have an episode on each pitch type. The classic example of a loogie pitcher was Jesse Orosco, who played 24 seasons for a bunch of teams. He was with the Mets from 79 to 1987. Most of his career was just a season or two for different teams. Dodgers, twice, Indians, Brewers, Cardinals, Padres, Yankees, Twins. Now, Orosco is also the answer to the trivia question. What pitcher appeared in the most Major League Baseball games with 1,252 games?
Oh, I thought you were doing today's trivia question already.
No, you'll have to wait for that. But Orosco he's appeared in the most Major League games. So it's a good one to break out with your friends. Retiring at the age of 46, Orosco is only one of 31 to appear in 4 decades of Major League Baseball. That's a list that includes Nolan Ryan, Rickey Henderson, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, and episode 21's focus, Ken Griffey Jr., actually. Trivia alert. Only 3 players have appeared in 5 different decades. Long careers. Hall of Famers Satchel Paige and Minnie Minoso, the Cuban Comet, great nickname. And also Nick Altrock, who was an early 20th century pitcher with the White Sox and Senator. I like him because his name's like alt rock, kind of like your, type of music. But
is that it for trivia? You're wearing out my sound effect.
For now.
Okay.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, this wonderful acronym LOOGY isn't really heard anymore because in the 2020 season, I can't believe it's that long ago, Major League Baseball did institute a rule where a reliever, when he comes in, he must face 3 batters minimum unless there's injury or it's the end of the half inning. And so you don't see the term LOOGY anymore. And the term Latogi for left-handed 3-out guy just isn't as catchy.
Well, we'll always have Seinfeld.
Love it. For our second first pitch, we're going to focus on the Kissing Bandit. Sounds intriguing. If you've listened to our episode 22 profile on the Baseball Reliquary, you know that I'm a voting member of the Shrine of Eternals. And if you haven't listened yet, why not? Check it out.
And if you watch on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of the memorabilia at their museum.
To recap, the Shrine of Eternals is a fan-based Hall of Fame, not just based on stats, but really the importance to the sport, especially the lore, the mystique. I sent in my ballot, and over the course of a lot of shows, we're going to be highlighting some of those great picks. For my 9 choices, out of, there were potentially 49 people on the list, I chose to mix champions who broke barriers, like Mamie Johnson, the first female pitcher in the Negro Leagues, with those whose impact was important but a little more offbeat, like David Mulaney, the creator of the wiffle ball. And today we highlight one of my more offbeat picks, Morgana Roberts, or as she's commonly known as, the Kissing Bandit. Now, if you grew up with baseball in the 1970s, like I did, I'm going to take you back to a nostalgic age. If you're among our younger listeners, be prepared for an era of long mustaches, players swapping wives, cleats up slides with bench-clearing brawls, and fans streaking at games. Good times, right, Brooke?
Oh, don't forget to include our disco demolition nights.
Disco demolition night, yeah. Check out episode 13.
There you go.
So Morgana Roberts was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and got her start after running away, lying about her age, and becoming an exotic dancer in her teens. She was 5'6", and I won't go into her measurements, but Morgana herself used to joke around that compared to her, Dolly Parton was flat-chested by comparison.
She's adorably cute, sort of a Lonnie Anderson look, which is dating me. Blonde, curly hair, and there's a quote out there that saying Morgana was endowed is like saying Bobby Witt Jr. is just an okay baseball player.
Well, Morgana's career as a baseball icon began August 1969, when on a dare by a friend, she rushed onto Cincinnati's Crosley Field and kissed Pete Rose on the cheek. Now, Rose, not surprisingly, cursed her out. He said, "Are you out of your bleeping mind?" He didn't say bleeping. And she was escorted away by security. But Rose felt bad and tracked Morgana down to a club she was performing at and sent her flowers with an apology. The news loved it. The headline was "Bandit Steals Kiss from Pete Rose." And a moniker was born, the Kissing Bandit. Sensing an opportunity, Morgana would continue to jump onto baseball fields and even surprise players at basketball and hockey games. I don't know if she slipped on ice. So over the course of the 1970s and 1980s, she kissed a total of 37 Major League Baseball players, including Nolan Ryan, Steve Garvey, Cal Ripken Jr., and Johnny Bench. She even kissed the San Diego Chicken. Once, she even kissed George Brett, and when he was playing against the Orioles, and Brett tracked her down at one of her performances and in Baltimore, went on stage and kissed her, to the crowd's delight.
George Brett was her only 2-time kiss that she gave out.
That's
the second was at the All-Star game, and he saw her coming. He was coming up to bat, and when she kissed him, he swooned, and the crowd went. They were laughing about that. There was always excitement when she came out because you'd have a "I was there when she kissed so and so" story for fans. Although her home stadium was Cincinnati, she traveled all over the country to have her to give her kiss away. And if she went after you, it meant you made it as an athlete, because for Morgana it was big time or not at all.
I heard she and George Brett even exchanged Christmas cards.
Yeah, they became friends. They still do.
Now, early on, not everyone found Morgana's antics charming. She was arrested almost 20 times, even briefly jailed in Anaheim, and security in Cincinnati was a bit over-aggressive. Rushing on the field had its own dangers. Once she was even hit by a pitch in Milwaukee. But a shrewd marketer, she earned over time millions in appearance and ads, and even appeared on baseball cards.
Which is more than I can say about Beethoven.
Yeah, how can you say someone's great if they never appear on bubblegum cards?
We do love our Charlie Brown Christmas.
We do. Although I found out
oh no,
that baseball
trivia alert.
Yeah, baseball was on a set of trading cards in Belgium in like the 1920s, so you could get trading cards.
Oh my gosh.
But I digress.
I'm laughing so hard on this. There's one time when she ran out for Nolan Ryan and he saw her coming and he got down on one knee and put his arms out because he was so excited that he finally got chosen by her to get a kiss. And there's also a time at a Cubs game when Ryan Sandberg, who was just focus of our last episode 23, she was coming out for him when he was at bat, and unfortunately, security got to her first. But he did hit a home run at that bat. That's not right. At that bat. At that at bat. How do you say that? That at bat?
I think the next at bat?
When he was at bat.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay.
She even appeared in the 1996 Farrelly Brothers bowling comedy Kingpin as herself and was the subject eventually of an ESPN E60 documentary in 2014. After TV interviews, the movie appearances, and 3 Playboy spreads, I don't think we can post those on Instagram.
No.
Sadly, Morgana, the grand dame of baseball, hung up her chapstick and retired in 1999. Now 78, she doesn't grant interviews, but is living happily in Ohio.
And she actually had a display at the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did like her code about kissing players. She always kissed them on the cheeks. It was more sanitary, and wives didn't get upset, she said. Quote, besides, who wants tobacco stains all over your teeth?
She's a baseball legend that definitely made you smile.
Well, from those quirky stories, we turn to high culture. With our third first pitch, occasionally we visit and will visit a work of literature or the cinema, baseball themed, of course, and a discussion today to a recent entry in the baseball canon, the 2024 film Eephus. Eephus, you might say. Yes, Eephus.
Eephus.
Eephus. Named after the slow, high-arching pitch, off speed, that despite its speed often can be hard to hit. As opposed to Doofus, a name that Brooke and I regularly called our kids.
On a rotating basis, though.
When they were young, yes. Not now.
No, never.
Well, the film only came out 2 years ago, Brooke, but I've already watched it probably 4 times, which is probably about 3 times more than I've watched Citizen Kane in that period of time.
Ooh, Citizen Kane. Aren't you haughty-taughty?
Yeah, very, very much so.
Beethoven and Citizen Kane.
Well, directed by Carson Lund, the film, Eephus, is set in a small Massachusetts town in the 1990s on a ball field that's about to be taken down to make room for a new school. And we see the final game between 2 community teams.
Yeah, the River Dogs and Adler's Paint.
Adler's Paint?
Is it Adler's?
Adler's?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Adler's Paint.
Yeah, that's right. Which is great because those teams are always sponsored by a mechanic or a paint shop or something like that. Brooke, I love this movie. I mean, it's a movie that on first watch it just has a slow brewing humor. I like to call it the Napoleon Dynamite of sports movies. It's quiet, it's quirky, and at first it doesn't grab you. You're kind of like, what am I watching here? But then becomes more and more hilarious on further views.
Yeah, I agree with you. The first time I watched it with you,
I think you actually
happened?
fell asleep.
Well, maybe. But when I watched it the second time, I remember all the scenes, so I must have been just lightly dozing, as we call it. But the second time, it really sticks with you. It gives you the feels.
Well, most baseball movies kind of have that predictable underdog that makes a comeback or defies the odd. There's no training montage here. There's no grand climactic moment, Robert Redford hitting the lights in the Naturals or something. Also, no big celebrity stars. It's a really true ensemble effort, though there's a hilarious cameo by former Sox pitcher Bill Spaceman Lee. And what it does have, the characters are all odd personalities, but yet it shows really in its way what baseball means to all these characters and how the loss of the field will affect their lives.
I feel like this is full of 6 degrees of fungos and fastballs today because our vintage baseball episode. We have Tom Big Bat Fasilowicz, and he talked about how Spaceman Bill Spaceman Lee came onto one of their baseball games when they needed a pitcher and then just left right after.
Yeah, he pitched by like 1860s rule.
Yeah, it was hilarious. So, hey, Bill Lee.
And I
think you keep being mysterious.
And I think in his late 70s, he's still working with the Savannah Bananas. Yeah. Can we get him on?
Oh. I don't even know where to go.
From Ken Burns baseball to fungos and fastballs. It's a slight step down, but not much.
Hey, we've have over 2,000 downloads here.
That's right. So far, yeah. The film's pace, again, a bit slow, but deliberately so, I think, just like the Eephus pitch. And baseball itself, just slow, but gives the players the time to interact, talk, reminisce. The quirky characters I love. There's a guy who, despite it being a small community game, he takes scores of every game. He just sits there, and this is like the game means the world to him. The pitcher that gets drunker and drunker as the game goes on. Some young guys, some out-of-shape guys. You don't know much about them, not much backstory, but they're all here because baseball means a lot to them.
Yeah, you have one player's family who comes for the pizza truck. You have a girlfriend who barely knows anything about baseball. And you have an older fan that comes out just because he can walk there.
Right.
At one point, the teams argue because they realized neither of them brought the allotted baseballs. So if a foul ball got hit, you had to go find the ball because they were worried they were going to run out. And nobody wants to end the game. Even though darkness comes, they agree this game is officially not over. So they turn the car headlights in and they're playing in the dark, and it's getting cold. The smoke is coming, cold smoke is coming out of their mouths. And you sit there watching, and you sort of wonder, why am I still watching? But you feel for them. You feel you're in the dark with them watching this baseball game that you have now become part of. If you don't love baseball, you probably have turned it off. But if you stay till the end, you really didn't even care who won. You just might be a hopeless baseball romantic.
Yeah, really. Watch it like 2 or 3 times. It's great.
How would you rate it, Jerry?
Oh, I said I was going to come up with a baseball-themed rating method when we reviewed the book Ball 4. I think I rate it very highly. I'd give it a triple play.
Out of
what? Yeah, like
how, is that 3 stars?
No, like 4 stars out of 5.
4 out of 5, a triple play.
A triple play.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a 5-star?
Well, yeah, because I know a triple play sounds like it should be 3 stars because it's triple, but a triple play is uncommon. True. I would think like a perfect game would be 5 stars.
That
and a
sounds
triple
good.
play would be 4 stars,
okay.
and then kind of
what?
I don't know, like a
double.
Maybe
3?
a double. 1 star would be like hitting into a double play, or getting hit by a pitch or something.
I think you might need to continue.
We're going to fine tune
this
for video, but it's a triple play. Watch it.
I agree.
Well, Brooke's got some summer trips coming up, which means I usually get jiggy with it and lead the bachelor-style lifestyle of watching lots of movies by myself all day. So I hope to watch a ton of movies, a lot of baseball movies. I'd really like to do a top 10 list. And spoiler, Eephus will be on that list.
Yes, I hope you do go to work one of those days too.
This is more fun, though.
True.
So to close this episode, I want to focus on a game that's often been called the Forgotten Classic or Forgotten Game, the 1970 East-West Major League Baseball Classic. It's a game that should be remembered, and if you've never heard of it, this segment's for you. One reason it's often not remembered is there's no video record of the game, despite it being in 1970.
It's a shame. The MLB couldn't get their acts together to have cameras there to record it.
Yeah, and it was a really important game, as we'll hear. In 1968, following the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., several Major League Baseball players contacted the commissioner and wrote to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, interesting in honoring King's memory in whatever way they could. And the Southern Christian Leadership Conference organized this event with each of the 24 teams to send a couple of players, with the proceeds of the game going to the King Memorial Center and the Leadership Conference's efforts. The team assembled was divided into East and West, and the lineup of the players and coaches included 23 current and future Hall of Famers.
Right. So it wasn't like the National and the American leagues against each other, like an all-star game.
Right.
It was East and West in honor of the early East-West Negro League all-star games.
Yeah, the Negro League, until they folded in the 60s, used to hold these all-star games, and they divide into East and West. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a who's who of baseball. Let me lay some of this lineup on you. The East included players like Roberto Clemente, Ernie Banks, Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Frank Robinson, Willie Stargell. And the West, Reggie Jackson, Hank Aaron, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Willie Mays. I mean, just to give you a sense of, how stacked the lineups were. Mets pitcher Tom Seaver, who had just won the Cy Young, was the starter. Bob Gibson, who in my opinion was perhaps the most dominant pitcher of all time, he was the first reliever. And Brock and Clemente were on the bench. It wasn't just the lineups that were stacked either. Managers of the team were Joe DiMaggio in the East, and he chose as his coach Billy Martin, Hank Bauer, John McNamara, Satchel Paige. The manager of the West was the Dodgers' great catcher Roy Campanella, who was unable to walk since the 1958 automobile accident that paralyzed him, ending his career. Campanella chose as his coaches for the West Sandy Koufax, Stan Musial, Elston Howard, Don Drysdale, Don Newcomb. A lot of names here, I know, Brooke, but man, these guys were huge. We'll be doing episodes on all of them.
What now?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them will get an episode.
Oh.
What do we say? 7 years? What's our goal? I think we're going to get to them.
Oh, boy.
I mean,
you know what? I can only have positive encouragement, one at a time.
And we've already done Lou Brock, right? So we got one down.
There we go. We have one.
But other great players too.
I look forward to it.
Back to Roy Campanella, who was one of the greatest catchers of all time. Even though the choice for him to manage this one-time game for the West was symbolic, it was still groundbreaking. In 1970, there had not yet been a black manager hired by the major leagues. That wouldn't happen until 5 more years with Frank Robinson when he was hired to manage the Cleveland Indians. And Campanella, in putting on that old Brooklyn Dodgers jersey for the first time in 12 years since his motor vehicle accident, realized the importance of appearing in such a game to honor Dr. King. All the players did. Reggie Jackson later said, quote, "I was honored to play there. It was just so special to be part of it." Willie Mays, who was actually in Japan at the time, playing exhibition games with the San Francisco Giants, he flew back just for the game, just to pinch hit off the bench. And then he flew back to Tokyo right after the game, which was basically a 12,000-mile round trip just to play in this game. Mays said, "This is too important to pass up."
That's amazing.
Held at Dodger Stadium, about 31,000 people attended the game. None with iPhones, folks. It was 1970, so again, no footage of the game. King's widow, Coretta Scott King, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. Jackie Robinson was in attendance. And behind home plate, Emmett Ashford called the game, the first African-American umpire in Major League Baseball, I should say the American and National League. Part of King's "I Have a Dream" speech was played over the speakers during the game, before the game.
It was really a defining moment in sports history, demonstrating the power of athletes uniting for a social cause. Pete Rose notably stated that playing in the game made him feel like he was doing something genuinely good for the community.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Pete Rose, too. We mentioned him. Everyone was there.
It's good to hear him saying something positive.
Everyone was there. Tom Seaver said, "If Dr. King could give his life for a cause he believed in, the least I can do is give one day for it." He pitched 3 scoreless innings for the East and handed the ball over, as I said, to Bob Gibson, who only gave up just 1 hit over the next 3 innings. The East would wind up winning behind Seaver's pitching. The East won 5-1. Reggie Smith, outfielder of the Red Sox at the time, would later say, and this is a great quote, "It was probably the first time it didn't matter who won the game. It was just so special being out there and what the game represented and stood for, bringing the nation together through baseball, and how we could all honor a great man as Martin Luther King Jr. and what he stood for." And in 2024, they did revive the East-West All-Star Game. That was the annual showcase, as I mentioned, for the Negro Leagues from 1933 to 1962. Celebrating the history of black baseball. This year, it's the 3rd annual event. It's now centered around Juneteenth at the historic Rickwood Park in Birmingham, Alabama.
Ooh, that's not too far from us, I don't think.
It's not. I think you'll be out of town, but maybe I can take a road trip.
Yeah.
Well, Rickwood was built in 1910, and it's the oldest pro baseball stadium in the U.S. It was once the home of the Negro League team, the Birmingham Black Barons. I love learning about the East-West Classic, Brooke. It's not an event that some listeners may have known about. We're happy to highlight it. Major League Baseball's history with race has, through its 150 years, often been shameful. So it's nice to hear of black and white players coming together in memory of a great man and the league actually getting it right. Except filming.
Except the TV.
But maybe someday in a basement somewhere, some footage will turn up.
That's right. Like Bing Crosby.
Yeah, Bing Crosby had the Mazeroski home run.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that turned up decades later.
There we go. And that would really be amazing. I wish I could see the camaraderie and seeing all those great players together. Just so many great names I hear about and seeing them in one field for the same cause. It's amazing. It would be amazing.
It would be incredible.
Yeah. Did you have a trivia question?
Yeah, I'm not going to forget about it. It's on my script right here.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers. Sorry, people. The magic. You're taking away from the listeners' magic, Jerry. No scripts. This is all off the cuff.
It's not magic. It's an illusion, Michael. See, we like Arrested Development, too.
We do.
Your trivia answer. Let's answer that trivia question.
Let's do the question again in case someone missed it.
Remember we talked about the Hall of Fame requiring a 5-year wait after retirement to be considered for induction. This one isn't obscure for the only player to, have that wait waived, but it's often misunderstood. The answer, as many of you may know, Roberto Clemente, who was inducted in 1973 after his death on New Year's Eve 72, delivering relief goods by plane to victims of the Nicaragua earthquake. Now, some of you out there may say, wait a second, what about Lou Gehrig? Gehrig was inducted right after he was retired in 1939, before his death a couple years later. But the 5-year waiting period was not established yet. It was put into effect 1954 after several years of a 1-year wait. So kind of a little tricky question. What a full episode. I had fun covering a lot of these great topics, such diverse topics. As always. What?
Yeah,
you made it. Yes, made it. As always, I want to thank my producer, Brooke.
You're welcome.
And shout it especially to Sam and Rick.
From the movie Casablanca?
No.
No? I mean, we've had Citizen Kane, we've got classical music.
I've known them for over 10 years, and yet I've never put that together. Maybe I'm slipping. I know they're my buddies from the Music Gourmets in California and Florida, respectively, who assured me they'd be listening. And as always, we are happy you're listening and hope you'll keep listening. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube with video or on your favorite podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines and Fungos and Fastballs.